What's up, everybody? I'm comedian Michael Halcomb, and this is the Messed Up to Setups podcast. This is episode 100, number 100, y'all. And in today, we're going to reflect on the 100 episodes that we've recorded so far and give 100 stand-up secrets, 100 stand-up tips, 100 stand-up insights. You're not going to want to miss this. Stay tuned.
It's all messed up, yeah, everything's messed up. We're going from this mess up to the next setup. Everything seems so messed up, but it's just our setup.
What's up, everybody? I'm comedian Michael Halcomb. This is the Messed Up to Setups podcast. This is episode number 100, y'all. And today, I'm going to share 100 stand-up secrets or tips from across all the episodes that we've recorded so far. We've had a lot of great guests on the podcast and already have a bunch more lined up. So make sure that you're subscribed, and whether that's on Spotify or iTunes or YouTube or whatever, or all of them, make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss a single episode. So yeah, today I just want to reflect on some of the things that have been talked about on the podcast over the last year. And I got a little PowerPoint because that's always fun, right? So here we go. 100 episodes, 100 stand-up secrets. And this is like a curated masterclass from the minds of dozens of comedians, working comedians, distilled into 10 by 10 matrix. That is a PowerPoint slide. So here we go. Let's get right into it. I looked back across all of this and kind of came up with the idea of the 10 pillars of comedy mastery. And you can see them right here. The messed up mindset. We're going to dive into each of these. The writing grind, joke anatomy and joke mechanics, technology and prompt generation, and finding your comedy lens, stage fright, dealing with that, open mics, handling those, delivery and stage presence, crowd work and connection, the business of comedy and booking, and longevity and community. Get into all these. So let's do it. Here we go. Number one, the messed up mindset. And I got a bunch of points here, right? So we'll just talk through all these and kind of riff on them. But one of the things that we discussed in various episodes was just to give yourself permission, one, to mess up. Well, give yourself permission to do this, but also give yourself permission to mess up and accept that a career in entertainment is reckless, but you simply cannot not do it. You got to do it. There's something inside you that calls out to you that you need to do it. Give yourself permission to do it. And that's easier sometimes. And in some cases, if you're a single person, you can travel around, you can get on the road easier. You can be more flexible with your schedule. But if you're, a married person or a married person with kids, it makes it a little more challenging. And you might also need to get permission from your spouse. But give yourself permission to wade into this as much as you can and accept, yeah, sometimes it's reckless, right? And one of the most important things that I emphasize, at least in my own comedy and own comedy writing, is mind the dysfunction in your life. That's where a lot of the funny comes from. I have two comedy mottos, right? One is, if it's messed up, it's material. And two, laughter is greater than outrage. And so if it's messed up, it's material. The perfect life isn't funny. The perfect person, they're not going to have funny stories. So embrace the mess up. Also embrace the tears, right? When you can stare at your past pain right in the face and laugh in its face, dude, you're bulletproof. I've said that many times on the podcast too. Staring your past pain in the face and finding an angle from which you can laugh at it. Oh, such a gift. Such a gift. Ditch the bubble. Comedy teaches you to love people better and to be more welcoming, perhaps more tolerant of them in some cases, and understand. It helps you understand the real world better. So ditch the bubble, get out of your bubble, and yeah, like, engage people, right? Don't just work in your little town or your little city. You're not going to go far if you do that. Get out of your bubble, ditch your bubble. And as I just said, choose laughter. Laughter will always be greater than outrage. That's my comedy philosophy. That's the engine, the motor that drives my comedy philosophy. And these are already 5 great points right here, and we're marching toward 100, believe it or not. Give yourself permission, mind the dysfunction, embrace the tears, ditch your bubble, choose laughter, and be authentic. Man, if you read my daily comedy blog, I harp on that. I harp on that. I harp on that. Be authentic. Now, don't write in a way that is fake or pseudo or false. That's just going to jeopardize what you're trying to do in comedy. You got to write out of your real lived perspective. Also, you might find it helpful to remove the labels. Some comedians talk about don't box yourself in as a Christian comedians, right? That could build a Christian comedian that could build barriers. Just be a comedian who's Christian. And I agree with that. You know, a Christian comedian, that title implies that you're maybe telling Bible jokes the whole time. I'm not a Christian comedian. I'm a comedian who's a Christian. So, yeah, and that's not to take anything away from my faith or my Christianity. That is a huge part that defines who I am. That's my identity. But because you can put labels on and limit yourself and create barriers, but there's really no point in doing that. It's not necessary. Another thing, expect to bomb. Yeah, I mean, every comedian who's gone somewhere will tell you this. You're gonna bomb, right? Just acknowledge that you're gonna bomb. It's part of the process. Accept it and embrace it. Learn from it, right? The bombs are the opportunities to learn. Failure is opportunity to learn. And really, if you get back up and do it again, you're not failing. And I'll just say this, like, if you failed up on stage, if you bombed, hey, dude, everybody else is sitting on their butts in the audience. You tried. You tried. And that's more than you can say for anybody else. Absorb the craft. You can't do good comedy if you don't aggressively watch and absorb good comedy. I would also add in there again, read good comedy. Like lots of, good comedians have written great books. Read those, but also read the transcripts from comedian shows. That's kind of an interesting practice, and I've talked about that before. Also, invite people in. Use your comedy to invite people out of their pain, even if it's just for a second, so that you can laugh through it together. All right, there's the first 10 sips. This is or 10 tips. This is pillar 1, the messed up mindset. Give yourself permission, mind the dysfunction, embrace the tears, ditch the bubble, choose laughter, be authentic, remove the labels, expect the bomb, absorb the crap, invite people in. All right, let's keep going. Here we go. Pillar number 2, the writing grind. This is 10 points about writing. So, demand structure, right? In your writing we're talking about. Now, some people might disagree with this, but structure is huge. Once you learn the sort of rudimentary building blocks of joke writing and how to write jokes, it's going to carry you a long way. You can't just do the whole improv vibes, the whole thing. Now, that's good. That is an art form in itself, and that's structured. Improv looks improvised, but behind it, underneath it, there's lots of actual structure, right? So the structure kind of gives you a map. Demand structure, right? Find structure. The first year, I would say, or first 6, 7, 8 months, just was spent. I spent like finding structure. It was huge for me. If you can't write daily, even if it's just taking notes, write daily. I blog daily. I try to write jokes daily, but I'm kind of more of a joke writer when inspiration hits, but I'm taking notes for jokes, like premises every single day. So make sure you're writing daily. That consistency is huge. Capture instantly. It's what I was just talking about, right? Use the notes app on your phone. That's what I do. A lot of people still carry around notebooks. That's great. The phone is handy for me. A thought comes, capture it. If you don't, I mean, there's a high likelihood that it'll never come back. Like it'll just be gone. Capture it, right? Use the voice memo on your phone too. If you're like driving or something, get that voice memo on and say it. So demand structure, write daily, capture instantly, build a database. I use the free software called Joplin to catalog all my quotes, my jokes, my tags, my premises, my setups, everything. I got thousands of things in there. It's beautiful and it's so organized and orderly. I love it. Find one that works for you. I know different people use different softwares, but Joplin works great for me and I highly recommend it. Follow the frustration. So when you're feeling anger or frustration in yourself, write about that. Just carve out 5 minutes, even if it's 3 minutes, 2 minutes, sit down and just write about it real quick. Write down what makes you mad. And the cool thing about that is that it's already tapped into emotion. It already has an emotional weight to it. Next, clear the cache, right? Conscious streaming writing is pretty fun. I have students do that in class sometimes. Just sit down and try to write. The 1 week rule. This is where once you write down premises within a week, go back to them, or once you write down a new joke, go back to them in a week and see if you still think they're funny, and then take them to the stage. Let's see, anchor your habits. I think Adam Minnick was talking about this when he likes going to the same coffee shop, sitting in the exact same chair at the exact same table, and force himself to write the exact same number of jokes. He's got a quota. And so if you can create habits like that, do it. Similar to clear the cache, turn off your filter. This is again free writing, right? You desperately need the discipline of a crappy first draft, right? So free your mind to write about whatever. Even if you're not writing a joke, just sit down and write some stuff. Turn off your filter and go. And respect the sport, all right? Holding the audience's attention for 5 minutes is a completely different sport than making friends laugh at a party, right? It's flexing a completely different muscle. So respect the sport, respect the craft. All right. Pillar number 3, joke anatomy and joke mechanics. The basic context or contour, the basic structure shape of a joke is set up, misdirect, punch. There you go. You can see it on the screen if you're watching. Set up, misdirect, punch. And here are 10 points about joke anatomy and joke mechanics. And having the terminology, just that in and of itself is very helpful. So learn the difference between a topic and a premise, right? A topic is just an idea, whereas a premise is a highly specific, unusual angle that you have on that idea. It's the difference between saying bears, topic, and premise. I can't stand when bears come into my yard. I don't know. So it's more specific, right? That's a premise. So it's helpful to have this terminology down. Misdirects, they're huge. They're huge. You're leading, remember, a misdirect, right? You're leading the audience in a normal direction and then hit them with a sudden heightened emotion and take them a different direction. Master the misdirect. Practice, practice, practice that. Protect your punch. Place the punchline as your absolute last word. The funniest word should be last. And also, once you get that laugh, never step on your joke, never step on your laughs. Let the laugh ride out. Also, that's good if you're going to post on social to have that laugh and just let it ride out. It's a good thing. Whittle the fat when you're writing jokes, right? Be relentless, because a 60-second rambling story can usually become just a couple sentences long. Now, if you have a whole story and you got punch after punch after punch, that's different. But whittle the fat, get all the unnecessary stuff out of there. Tag the cleverness. And what I mean here is if a joke is too clever, you can tag it with a simple explanation of why the room is laughing and then bring everyone on board. Stitch the story. If you can build transitions between disparate jokes. Like, so let's say you got a joke about a bear and then a joke about marriage. Like, is there something you can put in there, like a bridge joke, to stitch them together so that it feels like it's pretty continuous and not just flowing? Although I do see in here that it's sort of out of vogue to use transition phrases these days. So you might not want to do that. But personalize the target. That is, you know, if I'm out in public and I see something happen that's crazy, Like it didn't happen to me, but I just see it happen. What I can do when I'm writing the joke is actually make the thing happen to me. I can personalize the story and put myself in it, or my friends or my family members, or so on. Personalize the story. You got to learn in comedy the math of sarcasm. This is especially helpful if you're going to do any crowd work. Being sarcastic, playfully inappropriate is huge. Clock the laugh. If it takes 40 seconds to get your first laugh, you have too much fat in the setup, which takes us back to whittle the fat, right? It's a helpful practice to see how many LPMs, laughs per minute, you're getting, but it's not an ultimate determiner of anything, right? So you can have a 20, 30, 40-second setup. You can do that. And then if you have laughs that like boom, 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 then it pays off. But you don't want to laugh just every 40 seconds. Ideally, you want to laugh every 6 to 10 seconds, right? And I mean, you want as many laughs as you can get, but that's like a good beat. And I'll tell you this, I've done an hour of material several times, and people start to get, if you're the headliner and there've been two people before you, which is usually about a half hour, 25 minutes. So they've had a half hour of laughter before you, and then you come up and do an hour. As an hour and a half, it's hard for people to laugh for an hour and a half. So sometimes giving that breathing room actually isn't that bad. And then the rule of threes. This is just a standard building block of humor in general, but especially of joke writing. Learn that, master that. You hook people early, establish a pattern, and then shatter the pattern, the expectation on the third beat. Yeah, this is great stuff, isn't it? This is 30 tips already out of 100. We're marching on. Here we go. Tech and prompt generation. Now, this one might be a little controversial to some people. Some people don't want to use tech at all. But if you've watched the podcast, when I have guests on, I have the random prompt generators and we just make jokes. And this gets the juices flowing, right? So you can steal from the news. You can use my dynamic headline prompt generator to help you come up with opportunities to write jokes, not write the jokes for you. It doesn't do that at all. But another cool aspect of that, when you you can go to michaelhalcomb.live and you scroll down under the social tab and the joke writers lab, the third tab, the writing exercises, click on that and it'll take you to all these. But when you're using the tech, you have the option to hit a button to start the clock and it puts you on a clock for when you're writing, which is huge because when you're a comedian, you got to work on a clock. I just got a show this week and I asked the booker, well, how much time? And the booker said, we don't know until day of. So that's pretty challenging. I have several ways I prepare for that. I might do a whole blog or a whole episode on that, but that in of itself is pretty fascinating. We have exercises on there to invert the cliches. You take a known phrase and you mathematically sort of twist it for an instant punchline. This is where sarcasm also comes in really handy. The tech where we could finish the setup. This is where we took the setup of a famous comedian's joke and we chop off their punchline and force ourselves to come up with a new punchline. This is a great writing exercise. So you can use the tech to do that, right? To help you practice this exercise. I have a roasting prompt generator on there too. It'll show a random picture and give you the opportunity to try to practice your roasting. Roast battle leagues are becoming huge in comedy right now. Yeah, finish the triple. We just talked about the triple and pillar 3 as well, but here's an exercise that will allow you to do that. It'll give you 1, 2, and then you come up with the third. Force the rhetoric. It's really helpful to learn rhetorical terms and rhetorical devices. This is huge. Study ancient rhetoric. It's invaluable to being a comedian. It just roots you. Read Cicero and Quintilian and Aristotle and these guys, pseudo Aristotle. There's great stuff in here. Even the ancient Greek grammarians, some great stuff to learn about literary devices. And this is massive, massive, massive. Learn your logical fallacies. I've coached debate in high school. I'm going to be coaching debate in college in the near future, and learn your fallacies. I cannot emphasize this enough. learn your fallacies. Learn even just the top 20 fallacies. And the point of this is that every joke contains at least a fallacy, right? So if you can learn fallacies, then you can reverse engineer and come up with jokes. Man, this is hugely helpful. And I haven't talked about this very much, but I'm telling you, it's massive. Train the fast twitch. This is funny. Just write quickly. That's what it means. Just write quickly. Fast thinking. You got to work that muscle. Again, this is huge for crowd work. Work that muscle. And I have the technology that will allow you to practice that. And it's all free. It's all free. MichaelHalcom.live. Go to Under Social and click the Joke Writers Lab, the writing exercises. And finally, I have the Joke Writers Lab on Facebook where you can workshop your jokes digitally, right? On Facebook. You can post a joke on that private community and people will respond and give you feedback. Also, you can hire me if you want to do that. I'll help you work on your jokes. So there's pillar 4, tech and prompt generations. That's 40 tips down from the podcast so far. All right, here we go. Pillar 5, finding your comedy lens. This is really good. And as I think back about the episodes, gosh, so much good stuff here, but avoid pigeonholing. Don't remember we talked about titles already, so this piggybacks on that. Don't create barriers by labeling yourself. But in episode 11, this was one of the things. Don't I do define myself as a clean comic, and I don't think that's pigeonholing. I think it actually opens up doors. But for others, it might feel like pigeonholing, or it might be pigeonholing. So you got to find what works for you and go with it. But be aware that you could pigeonhole yourself as soon as you label yourself. I can tell you, I have lost opportunities because people have found out I'm a Christian, even though I don't go around labeling myself as a Christian comedian. I have gained shows because I'm a clean comedian, but I've also lost opportunities because people think clean isn't funny, which is just absurd. But so just be aware of that, like of the pigeonholing. Align with snap judgments, right? So find the overlap between what you want to say and what the audience is willing to accept based on their first look at you, right? So I always think this is great. When you come out, if you can be self-deprecating, self-effacing right off the top, that's a good thing. People know they can laugh at you. You can laugh at yourself, and that gives you permission to sort of be playfully inappropriate with them too, if it comes to that. Reverse engineer stereotypes. So when you're trying to find your comedy lens, Prue was talking about Oscar P when he was on episode, like lean into the assumptions that people make about you and then flip them entirely, which I think is a brilliant point. You can reverse engineer those stereotypes. So if you're MAGA, right, then lean into that and then flip it and make fun of yourself, make fun of it, right? If you're white, whatever, lean into it, flip it and make fun of it. Starting with family is also good. Mind your family's tragic, happy, and highly unique characters. It's usually an endless well of material. Contrast, right? Highlight the absurdities of comparing how your generation handles a problem with the previous one. This is a great tip, and several comedians talked about this. Chrysalis Goring was one. Laugh at the dark. I love this one too, that your lens can often be sharpest when you take a genuinely tragic experience and you can get a room to laugh at it. Now you got to be careful because you don't want people to start feeling sorry for you. I've done that, right? The people in the room are rooting for you. They like you. They don't want anybody to hurt you, and they don't want anybody to have hurt you in the past. So you got to be really careful. I've had to entirely reframe jokes because of that and then make them work from a different angle. But this also piggybacks on, if you can laugh in the face of your problems, you're bulletproof. Pick your target. So if you work clean, then carefully consider your object of ridicule and how you're going to do it. It's almost always safe if the target is yourself. Big Jake Hovis was talking about this when he was on. Yeah, so I like to do that. I like to kind of make myself the butt of every joke. I think that's great. Lower your status. John Floyd was talking about this. Use heavy self deprecation early on to disarm the audience. It's kind of just what I was saying a moment ago to make them comfortable. Subvert your vibe. If you give off a warm, inviting vibe, when you intentionally drop a dark joke, it's going to catch them off guard and it's going to surprise them if you do it the right way. And finally, define your difference. Figure out precisely how your perspective is entirely different from thousands of other comics. Who are you in real life? What makes you unique right from there? So there's 10 more. That brings us to 50 out of 100. We're halfway there. All right. What about stage fright and open mics? We talked about this across many of the podcast episodes. All right. So cross the hurdle. Just stop talking about it and start doing it. This is a very common point. Just get on as many mics as you can, which relates, of course, to the gym mentality. People say open mics are like the gym. You're there to work out, your timing not be flawless. Embrace the garbage. Understand that about this, 80 to 90% of what you write, you're not really going to take to the stage. And if you do, you'll take it back off stage because it's not going to be great. About 10, maybe 20 generous, around 10 or so percent of what you write will probably be good and usable, and it'll get better as time goes on as you keep doing this. Audit your sets, make sure you're recording them, whether that's audio or video, but it's best to do video so you can watch them back, count your last minute, count what worked, what didn't, how you phrase something, analyze the heck out of it like an athlete reviewing game tape, game film, right? Calm is funny. You don't have to be the loudest in the room. Relax, calm, under the pressure, under the radar presence rather can be incredibly effective. Yes. So let's see. What else do we got here? Riff to write. Some comics never write a word down. Oscar P said he had never written a joke, and his idea is kind of to write on stage in real time, like get up there and just go. He's got ideas in his head, but when he's up there, the pressure's on to be funny and it just clicks for him. So try that. Try writing on stage. Yes. And let's see, respect the silence. Don't panic during dead air, right? Let silence build and never step on your joke. We've already talked about that. Allow for tension because tension is contagious. And then I realized I have stopped memorizing here. If you take my, I have it here twice. If you take my online course that's on Udemy, then you can learn how to internalize things and order things. It's brilliant. So go check that out. Stop memorizing and then borrow from improv. I took an improv class a couple of years ago. It's good, build your confidence, give you some skills, some building blocks. So there you go. That's 60. Pillar 7, delivery and stage presence. Flex your phrasing. And what that means is, there are a number of comedians, and I was doing this early on. I was trying to remember the exact wording of the joke. But again, if you take my Comedian's Memory Lab course, I'll show you exactly the process I use now, so I don't have to be robotic, right? It's super helpful. You can be flexible with your language in real time and still get the joke, the setup, and especially the punch right. But you can flex your wording. Clear the stage. This is just simple. When you go up on the stage, move the mic stand and put it behind you. I got a video early on where I left it in front of me for a joke or two and then put it behind me. Not professional. Put the mic stand behind you when you get up there. Shift your goal, right? Again, your goal isn't to recite material. It's to make the people in the room laugh and have a good time. So don't think about that. Your job is to get up there and recite words. Just, again, if you're flexible in your phrasing, this is very helpful. Make sure you have good pacing in your set. You don't want dark after dark after dark after dark after dark. Some people like Anthony Jeselnik can pull that off, but most people don't have that persona. So pace it. right? Spread things out. Think about how you arrange your set. Treat your opening five jokes as the hardest part of the set. They're instantly going to build or destroy trust. That first joke is even really, really important. And we've talked about on the podcast putting your second best joke first and your first best joke last. That's a great tactic, or you can flip it, I think, however you want to do. But yes. Let's see. Earn the sandbox. If your audience gives you grace and is laughing, use that time to test good ideas. And I've found that if you're 20, 30, 40 minutes into a show, it actually can break up the routine in a helpful way too. Just be, hey, you guys care if I try some new material? You can pull out a book, a notebook, pull out your phone app, whatever, and try some new stuff. Best though, just to have it internalized so you don't got to do that. Hat on, hat off. What I mean here is use physical cues or vocal shifts to transition in and out of characters, right? So if you do character stuff in your comedy, you have a certain character with a hat on. Don't leave the hat on when you go out of that character. Take the hat off. Use physical gestures and whatnot to even clothing or props to help you shift from character to character. As I said, the athlete's tape, this piggybacks on what we said in pillar 6 about recording. Well, you need to really analyze that tape afterward. And I would say actually get somebody to analyze it with you. You can have me analyze it for you. You can pay me a little bit of money. I'll analyze and give you feedback. Send your stuff to me. There are other people who do that too. But and then measure the cliffs. And what I mean here is if you're telling a joke and the cognitive leap for the audience is so huge, they're not going to follow that cliff. Or if something's too close to home, like too soon, maybe you don't want to do that. Right? They're not going to follow you. If it's boring, if it's too far, if it bombs, don't do it. Right? Try to find the sweet spot and hit that sweet spot. Watch out for the cliffs and measure how far you are from them. And then weaponize your mistakes. Maybe sometimes there'll be a spilled drink or a tripped word. Actually, just a couple weekends ago, I was doing a show at a theater in Virginia. And when I got up, I couldn't figure out how to turn the freaking thing on. I got a clip of it on my YouTube. Go check it out. And somebody had to come up on stage and help me turn it on. And finally, we got it on, and I was able to crack a joke about it right away. And what I did was I weaponized the mistake. Perfect. All right, pillar 8, crowd work and connection. I love this. Target the easy stuff. You know, if somebody in the audience is wearing neon laces or bright I had a guy wearing pink pants with white flamingos, or white pants with pink flamingos on them one time. Stood out, made a joke about it, right? Target the easy stuff. Acknowledge if there's an elephant in the room, acknowledge that. And if there's a disruption, something goes down in the room, then do that, right? Like acknowledge that. Let's see, don't hide. You have to be entertaining for the whole set. And to do an hour, it takes a lot of skill. Don't use crowd work as a mask for a lack of written material. Have material ready. Crowd work's like the cherry on the top, right? Now you can build in, crowd work. I've done that too. My first hour set, I had three spots in it that would cover 5 minutes each. That would cover 15 total, where I took a break from the joke telling and did 5 minutes of crowd work in these 3 different spots. I like doing that. Very helpful. So just like you can say, you guys care if I try some new material, you can have crowd work time built in there. And the audience, if they're a good audience, even better. They'll have fun with that. Real-time filtering, reading the room. Master the art of filtering ideas in your head instantly. Because you know what? Sometimes you'll think of something and you better not say it. It get you in real trouble. But sometimes the best thing will come to mind. You just need to say it, right? Let the audience breathe. Like I said, you can use crowd work to give them a mental break during a long set. If use the blurts. So if heckler blurts something out, use it, but ruthlessly steer the ship back to your routine. Don't let them control the show. And that leads to the next point. Maintain control. Don't ever let the show slip away. Don't give it away. Maintain control. Find the joy. When you're doing crowd work, ask questions that the people you're talking to are excited about, not just the mundane stuff, but where do you work? I mean, you can do that, but the more interesting the question, the more interesting the answer. And I would say this too, try to make sure that their answers are 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 words, but not really longer. Read the energy, read the room, pay hyper focused attention to the room's energy and adjust accordingly. And then finally, ignore the trend. Don't force crowd work just to make TikTok clips. Weave in and out so that you can protect your actual material. All right, there's 80 tips so far. We got 20 more to go. Now we're on to the business of comedy and booking. In fact, we have 12 here, it looks like, and then 12 in pillar 10. So we're actually going to get beyond 100, but let's see. I maybe made some more uh doubles here. We'll see. But the clean advantage. I think when it comes to comedy, working clean is the way to go. Way more opportunities, way more money, and it get you into corporate and church events. Maybe you don't want to do church, whatever, but it can get you into things like country clubs and so on and so forth. Work clean. Empathize with bookers. Man, I just produced my first show. I'm having to book comedians. If you're trying to get on one of their shows, send them all your information. The podcast with Jason Hedden, he talks about this. It's great. I've started following his advice. So empathize with the bookers, realize what they're going through, realize what they're looking for. So when you contact them, you make their life easier. Create the stage, right? Produce and run your own shows. I'm doing that. It's hard work, but man, it gives you a completely different angle on comedy. Look the part, right? If you're wanting to be a professional comedian, be professional. Don't look like a slob. I mean, your persona might have that, but you're gonna have a harder time getting booked if that's how you look. Yep. So create the stage. That's on there twice. Be easy to work with. This industry is cutthroat. We talked about that across all the podcasts, right? It's cutthroat. So be easy to work with and root, like genuinely root for other people. Promote the locals, share other comic shows when you can, when they headline. The community building is huge. Host with grace. If you host a mic or a showcase, be so encouraging to everyone. Beware of the shelf life, right? Topical stuff like news headlines, they fade fast. So, like it's a year later or whatever. Don't be doing Diddy jokes, right? That lasted for a week or two. Move on. Host with grace, again, a double. Vet your classes. I need to work on creating PowerPoints. Vet your classes. Avoid obvious money grab classes. Those exist all over the place, and only invest in courses that force you to be better, right? That get you onto that allow you to work in your time and best of all, get you onto a stage. And then manage the front door. There's show and then there's business. Don't get so caught up in creating art that you forget to sell the tickets. And selling tickets can be hard, very hard. So that's 90. And then here are the last 10 to get us to 100. What about longevity and community? What's that got to do with comedy? Oh, find your tribe. That's hard. It could take a long time to do that. Find the people that you genuinely connect with and build a community. Like get into that community. People you can trust. That's huge. It's hard, but it's huge. If you can find your tribe of other comedians and then also your fans, right? Get a critical buddy. I've had a few of these where we meet and we workshop jokes. Yeah, it's awesome. If you can find that, do it. And it's hard to keep it going, but try your best. Beat the loneliness. A stand up is in many ways solo. I mean, there are duos and trios out there, uh, but the lifestyle shouldn't be, right? Again, find your community. Protect marriage if you're married. Um, And there's a couple things here. I mean, when you're out on the road, make sure you're faithful, right? On the other side of that, much more simple, simply talking about he got divorced because he was testing his jokes on his wife and she hated him and told him it wasn't funny. So be careful about which jokes you test on your spouse. Elevate your circle. Now, this is true in any area of life, but especially comedy. Hang out with people who love comedy, who are just as obsessed with it as you, but really who are going to make you better. It's that Cooper Flag, I think is his name, the new rookie in the NBA. His mom used to tell him, if you're the best one in the gym, you need to find a new gym. Work with people who are better than you. Kill the envy. Eradicate the thought that, oh, I want what they got. They got it. How did they get it? Stop hating. Celebrate them. Eliminate the envy. Do what you can do. Take the opportunities you can get. Create opportunities for yourself. Audit your joy. Make sure that you're still loving this, that it's still joyful for you. People can tell when you're up on stage and you're not having fun. You're not enjoying yourself. You're not enjoying. So make sure you keep a close audit on that. Value quality too. When you see another comedian, don't judge their skill by their calendar years. I think that's so stupid. How long you been doing comedy? I mean, I ask people that all the time, but I'm not judging them by that. The density and quality of their content matters far more than how long they've been doing it. Mirror the joy. So audit your joy, mirror the joy. Again, make sure you're having a good time on stage. Make sure people can see that. Make sure they know it. And then finally, never graduate. This is one of the most important. This is a fitting number 100. Never graduate. I consider myself less a comedian, more a student of comedy first. So stay a student of comedy first. Remember, you can check out michaelhalcom.live. I talk about daily. I blog on Comedy Daily there, often giving mind hacks, comedy mind hacks. I talk a lot about comedy theory. And of course, you can access the Messed Up to Setups podcast there. I have the 2 classes on stand-up comedy, the Joke Writers Labs on Udemy. That's 4.5 hours of intensive on-demand joke training. And then I also have the Comedians Memory Lab, which is, I think, 2+ hours of content. So you can get 6.5 to 7 hours of content just right there on Udemy. Super inexpensive as well. And then the community, go to the Joke Writers Lab on Facebook and join that group. You can post your material and get edits and feedback. And also on michaelhalcom.live, you can go to the Joke Writers Lab exercises and use those joke prompts for free. Been creating these great resources to fill the comedian's toolbox that you have. So there you go. Here's to the next 100 sets, right? The next 100 episodes, the next 100 tips. Remember, as C.S. Lewis said, comparison is the thief of joy. As the scriptures say, run your race. And remember, as I say, if it's messed up, it's material. And also, laughter is greater than outrage. Go ahead, get on stage, get on the mic, create opportunities, find opportunities, and check out the Messed Up to Setups podcast. Make sure to subscribe to it, share it, like it. Who should we have on? What do you want to hear about? Yeah. Well, hey guys, this is episode 100. Thank you so much for watching or listening. There's 100 tips, 100 from across 100 episodes. Hope you found them helpful. I'm Michael Halcom. I'm going to stop there and say I hope that helps.
It's all messed up. Yeah, everything's messed up. We're going from this mess up to the next setup. Everything seems so messed up, but it's just our setup.